Hello everyone, my name is Benjamin and recently I went on for a boat cruise along the river Periyar from Paravoor, which is around 25 kilometers north of Cochin. The cruise was organized by the Muziris Heritage Project, which is a conservation project headed by the government of Kerala. Before I proceed about the tour, let me share with you some interesting facts and history of the land that dates back to 3000 years during the prosperous era of the Muziris port. It was the era of the Chera dynasty. Muziris was almost like a gateway to India. The port was the hub of spice trade, to be more specific, black pepper. The port was destroyed in the 14th century during the heavy floods in the river Periyar. Everyone fled down south and found a new harbour there, which is the modern day Cochin. After the flood, Port Muziris just vanished down into the river silt and a new island was naturally formed called the island of Eibon. Government invested further in a conservation project and named it the Muziris Heritage Project. The idea of this program was to refurbish and conserve whatever historical monuments still existed in this area where once a flourishing port existed. Today, Muziris is all about stories. There is no physical monument that exists as part of the Muziris port. All the monuments are converted into museums that were built after the 14th century during the colonial era in the Indian subcontinent. The starting point for the boat cruise is the Paravoor Synagogue, which is a Kerala Jews history museum located close to the Paravoor market. The synagogue was built in 1615 and follows a traditional Kerala architecture. It has a wooden pulpit and an altar. The synagogue has very interesting hanging boards that explain about the culture and lifestyle of the Jewish community that existed here. The exhibits include a few inscriptions and privileges extended to the Jewish community handed over to a wealthy trader named Joseph Rabban by the king. We got onto the hop-on hop-off boat, which is a cute little air-conditioned boat with the exterior artwork done by the Kochi Muziris Binali. We cruised along the river and entered into the Kottapuram Fort National Waterway. The boat got near to the jetty and we were to visit the Sahodara Bhavanam's house. Sahodara Bhavanam was a social reformer from Chennai. He fought against the casteism and other social taboos that existed during his time. The house depicts about the architecture and construction used during the late 19th century. Further, we cruised along the river and disembarked at the Basilica of Our Lady of Snows at Pallipuram. The Portuguese built a fort at Pallipuram in 1503. Along with the fort, they built a church for the local believers and dedicated it to Our Lady. The fort is today in a partially destroyed form and was the first European fort in the Indian subcontinent. When the Dutch invaded the Portuguese, they built another church adjacent to the existing church built by the Portuguese. During the era of the invasion by Tipu Sultan of Mysore in the 18th century, a lot of Hindu temples and Christian churches were destroyed. Fearing this tragedy, the believers of the church closed themselves inside the church and started praying. It is believed that when Tipu's army arrived, the church was suddenly covered by snow and the army missed to identify the church. That was how the Church of Our Lady became Our Lady of Snows. We boarded the boat and continued the cruise and passed by Munambam Harbour, which is the second largest fishing harbour in India. The boat cruised till the mouth of the sea, where we got to see the Estuary and the Arabian Sea, and continued the cruise in the river Periyar. The next stop was the shrine of St. Thomas, a Pontifical church on the banks of the river Periyar at Azhikode. It is believed that St. Thomas, the Apostle of Christ, landed in Kodungalur in 52 AD. He is believed to have formed 7 churches in Kerala, the first one being in Kodungalur itself. The bone of the right arm of St. Thomas was brought from Ortona in Italy and enthroned in the present Pontifical shrine. The church comes directly under the Pope. Our next stop is the Kottapuram Fort built by the Portuguese with the permission from the Maharaja of Kochi in the year 1523. The fort had a strategic position on the mouth of the river Periyar before it joins the Arabian Sea, which gave it the advantage of controlling ships and boats that passed to and from the interior of Malabar. The Dutch took over the fort in 1663. After multiple destructions, the fort literally does not exist today. One could see the border stone of Travancore and Kochi kingdoms in the fort premises. It was time for a lunch break and we stopped by a small homestead to have some Kerala meals. After the meal, we headed to Paliam Palace. I don't have much footage of the palace as photography is prohibited here. Paliam Palace is the palace of the Prime Minister of the Kochi Maharaja. The Prime Minister was titled as Paliatachan. The Palace of Paliatachan was built and gifted by the Dutch for hiding the king when there was a serious threat from the Portuguese invaders. The palace functions as a museum and showcases the possessions of the royal family. This is a fine example of the Indo-Dutch architecture and history. was almost 3 in the afternoon and I was kind of exhausted. Tour was almost over and the boat would be going back to Paravoor Synagogue, which would take around 1.5 hours. So I decided to break the journey at the Paliam Palace. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sharing you with the contact information and other related documentary links about Muziris, the Muziris Heritage Project, the contact points for the hop-on, hop-off boat service. This would be a very interesting tour if you have a love for history, art, culture, architecture and local life. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe for more interesting videos and stories from Kerala. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.